Hey guys, and welcome to Through the Glass Table's countdown to Star Wars Force Awakens and the celebration that's leading up to all that goodness. And today we're going to be reviewing Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones is terrible in every way, in every possible way that I can ever imagine. That I can't even think of a way to describe this movie without insulting it on every level. I hate it. I never want to see it again. And it makes me question the reasoning of even having a review show if I have to watch shit like this again.
Attack of the Clones is a continuation of the origin stories of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and Padme. And now it deals more with how we get into the Empire's army of stormtroopers and how that all existed, and basically giving us the foundations for what would be the 4th, 5th, and 6th movie.
As you can see with this hood, I turned to the dark side after watching this movie. I don't have nothing to say about this stupid shit. But I'll give it to you. What did you think about Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Poo-Poo?
Attack of the Clones is actually, I think, it's not saying much, but it's my favorite of the first three. 1, 2, and 3. I'm just saying. Okay. I mean, there's so much going on in the movie. I would give you that. But in terms of, like, placing the elements for the future, the movies of the past, and placing kind of the foundation for characters, it didn't do that terrible of a job.
This one, I think, it's not even that the story is bad, even though it is. It's not that the character's bad, even though they are terrible and they're not even characters. There's a like essence of laziness. It's just like all the performances are lazy, all the shots are lazy.
But everything in performances in the first one were lazy too, so you can't even use that.
But I think it was
like
I still felt like he was trying at least with that one. This one is just like, we got to get this over with right now. This one debuts the Oscar the acting of Hayden Christensen, who plays Anakin Skywalker, and he is absolutely terrible in everything that he does in this movie. Every line delivery, just every emotion that he does not even show that he's supposed to show, everything is just bad.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Now, I will agree with you that Hayden is a terrible actor in this one. I think this was the introduction to his, cinematic debut, right?
Before this, he had done little things. He was actually on an episode of Goosebumps on Fox Kids in the early 90s. I know they audition and they read lines to each other. How could he have seen that performance and was like, that's my Anakin, that's Darth Vader? He's awful in every way.
Padme, I guess we can move on to Padme for a bit, since the story revolves around how they form their love and how they get together as a couple. Too, I think she was pretty much over it during this time with her character. She was she
gives absolutely zero effort.
I mean, there's moments where it seems like she's really getting into it, but then there's other moments where she is just like, I'm here because I signed the contract for it. I think the only person that was taking it seriously, or at least trying to take it really seriously, was fucking Jesus.
He's talking about Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor took it seriously through all 3 of these movies. This one, he's really given nothing to go with, but at least I guess he's trying. You could tell. See, that's what I'm saying though. That you could tell the difference between him trying and the rest of the movie just happening and being lazy. And I think I agree with you. He is probably the best thing. I don't want to say that, I guess.
The premise of this movie is that it's 10 years later, right? So now we have Anakin, who is supposed to be around the age of 18, 19, and Padme, which was, I think, she was a young queen in the first one. She was about 15, right? So 10 years, she's about 25 now. So she is coming to the age where she's feeling her loins really develop, right? So
you're being forgiving though, because you're making that in your head using the non-linear clues from this movie. And
what does that even mean?
That just means that none of this shit that you're saying it is happening because it's supposed to, and we think that it's happening, but it's done so poorly that I don't feel anything.
We have no argument on whatsoever.
I do. It was executed wrong.
How was it executed wrong?
Because they forced like these weird love scenes on them so that we were supposed to get that they're in love all of a sudden, but none of all of it is exposition. It's always like speaking their feelings.
That's not all the first 3 are exposition.
I know, but if we're gonna talk about how terrible,
but I'm talking about in the context of these prequel trilogies, right? That I said it's the best of the three. I said it's the best of the three. Let's talk about the CGI.
It's terrible.
CGI, because you're saying it's terrible, but I'm like, I didn't find it so like exhaustingly terrible as you did.
It's the same problem that we kind of saw in the first one, but at least there were enough real sets to make you feel like you're in a Star Wars
In the first one,
world.
you mean?
Yeah. This time, and to be forgiving, it is probably a matter of age, just because that movie was almost 15 years ago, 2003, or it was almost 15 years.
I'll start episode 2.
I mean, sorry, episode 2. Yeah, so the CGI, of course, is dated, but it just looks bad. CGI in itself is not a bad thing, as long as it's only extending past what you can't show, practically. And this is just like, it's everywhere. The movie is CGI with a couple of humans in it.
I did see what you were talking about when we were on Geonosis. And it was kind of just like the color schemes were kind of weird. Yeah, I didn't notice that until you mentioned that it kind of everything kind of bleeds into each other.
Which is weird because in the middle of the movie it was pretty beautiful when they go to Naboo.
Yeah, when they go to Naboo and they go
architecture and all that stuff. Sliding into the subject of fights. There's
two big main fights in here that I think I nerded out over. I mean, of course, there is the Yoda fight with Count Dooku. And
the multi-Jedi fight.
I will give you that the multi-Jedi fight is kind of just too prolonged. There's too much of it going on.
And it's just flat. It's just a bunch of people that we don't care about.
And it's like an overview of it. So I will give you that. They also had a bunch of aliens in this that I know if you're like diehard Star Wars fans, you're gonna be able to name them all and do all that stuff. But I love Star Wars, but I'm not too much of. I would admit that I'm not too much of a hardcore fan where I know every single detail. But like, none of them are explained who they are, anything in that fight.
Well, I mean, in the original trilogies they aren't either, but there's not that many, so you remember them. I think is what you're trying to say. In this one, because the CGI takes over, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere,
and it becomes distracting because you can't relate to those characters. Yeah. I think that's part of a larger problem with this thing is that so the first trilogies are known for having those cool creature effects like Jabba and all that stuff, and you see people like that. So his mindset throughout this whole movie is, I gotta save face because Phantom Menace was a disaster. So he just puts as much from the original trilogy, but just like overloaded. So we saw a couple of aliens in all three of 4, 5, and 6. Now here's 1 million aliens, and they're everywhere, and they populate the whole planet. I was telling you, in the Jedi Temple with the kids when they're fighting the little ball thing, that just happened to be in A New Hope. That just happened to be a training thing that was in the Millennium Falcon. And then remember he was doing it and he couldn't do it right, and then they Obi-Wan just put a helmet on him just to help him focus more. And now all of a sudden that's an official like training program for Jedis. Like that's stupid. He knows that's a memorable scene from A New Hope, so he's thinking, oh, if I just make this like a little reference, then people will like it. And I hate it. That's stupid. It's so stupid.
I guess. Anyways, besides all that, I'm gonna geek out and say that I think one of the real reasons that I like this movie is because of the Yoda fight.
It's infuriating to me, that Yoda fight.
Why is it infuriating?
Just because Yoda in A New Hope, I mean not A New Hope, in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, Yoda's whole shtick was that blunt force is not the way to success. And that you should use your focus and you should use your mind and your heart in order to win the battle. And this is just like pissing on all of that. And they even say the line, I guess our knowledge of the Force will not determine this battle. I guess the use of our lightsabers will. They say it in the movie. That's the total opposite of anything that Yoda would have ever said. And to me, that's just like a dump on of what made him so special in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. That's just my opinion. And I guess in a way it is cool to see him fight.
But you're treating him like he's like fucking Gandhi, non-violent motherfucker. But he's not. He is the leader of the fucking Jedi Council, and he has to know, and he's trained people. So of course he's gonna be able to use those abilities.
But that just makes sense in the logic of the movie. That's not the logic of the character that we know.
But this is the beginning of the war, the Clone Wars. Do you not think that people are gonna put aside their values and traditions in order to be they're supposed to be guardians of peace and essentially a military force. That's what they are, or they become.
Okay.
So do you not think that they're gonna?
No, I just think this is stupid. I just think that George Lucas
and I think
knew people like you would have nerded out to see Yoda fight,
and
so he just put it in the movie. And it is cool to see him fight, but it's cool in the same way of like saying, you know, it would be cool if Yoda fought, but then he was about to lose, but then Batman came and saved him.
Well, what does Batman have to do with anything?
I'm just saying, is it, you know, like that nerdgasm shit where people write fan fiction that doesn't make any sense. It's just like things they want to see.
So you're trying to say that he wrote fan fiction?
Yeah, more or less. The Yoda fight is
his own character.
Yoda fight. He downloaded a piece of fan fiction and just incorporated it into the script because he couldn't write.
You're just trying to make your point by throwing in obscenities and stupidities.
Well, I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree.
That I'm right.
No.
Let's talk about the little things in the movie, just in terms of like you noticing a lot of more of the things that you didn't notice before, like that kind of the technology from the spacecrafts are kind of incorporated into what will become the spacecrafts in the fourth and fifth movies, or that these spacecrafts or these kind of military vehicles actually have like the stamp of the Empire before it becomes the Empire.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I give this movie and any of the movies in the trilogy. I always thought that was cool. That the Republic used, like, basically they used Star Destroyers and stuff like that. That was owned by the Republic. And then when the changing of the guard happened, they still owned it, but it was just Imperial. I don't know if he intentionally meant that, but there's some sort of subtext there of just like the Empire was there the whole time, you know? Kind of like
they were always a big thing. They were always just
it was coming. It was gonna happen regardless. Which I could be just making it up.
Yeah. So I guess we've come to the end of the review of episode 2. As you can see, my friend and I are at opposite ends of what we liked and what we disliked. We're against each other, but that's okay because he's a retard anyway. So it is. What would you give the movie?
You know what? I can't give it a 0 just because at least it's a movie and it's coherent, I guess. I just hate everything about it, and I'll give it a 1. A 1 out of 5.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Oh, jeez.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Sorry. It's the most refreshing of the 3 prequels, so. Okay. And, you know, with the Yoda fight, whatever.
That's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching today. We're still got, 4 more movies left?
I don't know.
We have 4 more movies left before we get to The Force Awakens, which comes out on December 18th. We also have a little special thing coming up with the Star Wars Holiday Special, which we'll be releasing around right before The Force Awakens comes out. So just keep watching. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.